Generally, the rule is that you must maintain valid non-immigrant visa status the entire time you're in the United States, and you can never have worked without authorization during this entry. Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you about some mistakes I've been seeing people make with applications for adjustment of status. And this is particularly relevant now that a denied adjustment of status application can result in a notice to appear in immigration court to begin the applicant's deportation proceedings. This will typically happen if your green card application gets denied and you are out of status when it gets denied. The next thing you should expect to happen is a notice to appear in immigration court to begin removal proceedings. That's not to say that your removal proceedings cannot be fixed, but if that happens, it's going to be a very expensive lesson that you will have learned. Okay, so the first mistake that I see some people make, and this has been, I don't know why there's been an uptick in these applications, or maybe I've just been attracting these during my consultations, but people who apply for employment-based visas after being out of status. So generally speaking, and let me start with the caveat that I'm not an employment-based immigration attorney, but I know some of the basics enough to screen people to see when they're making like a critical error. And one of the big mistakes I see people make is they're out of status and they have like an approved I-140 or employment-based petition and they want to apply for adjustment of status. Or they're in some sort of like provisional status, like they have asylum pending, or they were previously here as a tourist, and then that tourist visa expired and they ended up overstaying, and later on they got like TPS, and now they want to apply for an employment-based visa. Generally, the rule is that you must maintain valid non-immigrant visa status the entire time you're in the United States, and you can never have worked without authorization during this entry if you want to apply for an employment-based adjustment of status. And it depends greatly on the category of employment-based petitions. Like you might actually qualify for an employment-based green card, but adjustment of status is rarely the route that you can take if you've overstayed your status or changed status and accrued unlawful presence in the interim. It's really fact specific. So if you are trying to apply for adjustment of status, definitely consult with an immigration attorney who focuses his or her practice on employment-based immigration. Like I focus on family-based immigration and removal defense. Employment-based immigration is a whole different beast. You want to speak to an attorney that does just that all day and all night. The next mistake that I see a lot of people making, and this happens a lot with like the TPS crowd or people who are paroled and who are at risk of losing that status really soon because the Trump administration is just trying to ramp up their deportations and cancel all of the Biden era humanitarian programs, is applications for adjustment of status through a preference category petition. So a preference category petition is a family petition that is typically filed by a permanent resident or a US citizen who's filing for adult sons or daughters. They can be married or unmarried, or a sibling petition. The three categories of immediate relative petitions, which are different from preference category petitions, are spouses of US citizens, children who are under 21 of US citizens and who are unmarried, and parents of US citizens when the petitioning child or adult son or daughter is 21 years old and a US citizen petitioning for a parent. So those are the three immediate relative categories. In those immediate relative categories, you can be out of status and still apply for adjustment of status from within the US. But for example, if you entered on parole, right, and your parole status is about to expire, and you have a parent who's a US citizen and they're petitioning for you, and you're over age 21, you're probably not going to be eligible for adjustment of status. First of all, that category of petition is going to take a minimum of 8 years before a visa becomes available. Even if the I-130 is approved, it doesn't mean that a visa is available. And when you apply for adjustment of status based on that I-130, you're most likely going to get denied because you failed to maintain valid non-immigrant status while you were applying for adjustment of status. Let me give you another example of someone who might be eligible to adjust status in the US through a preference category petition. That might be the spouse of a permanent resident, but it depends on the visa bulletin. You need to check to make sure the timing is just right. And if you have no idea what I mean when I say that, then you need to check out some of my other videos about preference category petitions or schedule a consultation with an immigration attorney, because if you apply based on what you think you understand, the risks are just like unacceptably high right now, because if you're wrong, you're gonna end up placing yourself or your spouse into deportation proceedings. So the example I'll give right now is spouses of permanent residents. The backlog is only a couple months. So theoretically, if your spouse enters like on a student visa and then you file the I-130 while they're here on a student visa, and then the priority date becomes current after like 4 to 5 months, and they are still in a valid F1 student visa status, they haven't violated the terms in any way, then they might be eligible to apply for adjustment of status before that F1 visa expires, or the duration of stay or their educational program expires. And as long as they apply for adjustment of status while they are still in a valid non-immigrant visa status, they might be eligible to adjust status to a preference category. Another great example would be someone who's here on an H-1B, which is a dual intent visa. It offers a lot of benefits because you can intend to permanently live in the US or not and still be validly in an H-1B status. Let me give you guys another example of a situation that I've seen people do that's gonna get the adjustment of status application denied. Let's say you are a permanent resident and you want a petition for your fiance. Your fiance's here in the US on a tourist visa and you guys are thinking about getting married. After day 90, you end up getting married and you file an I-130 petition for your now spouse, because you think that your spouse might be eligible for adjustment of status in the United States. But you know enough to know that you shouldn't file the I-130 and the I-485 applications concurrently. Because of the category of petition, you need to wait until a visa becomes available. The priority date on that I-130 becomes available. So the priority date on that I-130, for example, in this situation, at least in August 2025, this would be relatively true. The priority date would become available 5 months later. So now your fiance's tourist visa, they've overstayed. They've overstayed by like 2 months now already. And now the priority date on the visa is available and you think they're eligible for adjustment of status. If you apply for adjustment of status with a work permit, actually they will get the work permit, because that's just indicating that an adjustment of status application is pending. It doesn't mean that their adjustment of status is going to get approved. And in fact, in this scenario, the adjustment of status should get denied, and the denial decision should indicate that they failed to maintain valid non-immigrant visa status, which is required when you're trying to adjust status through a preference category petition. The remedy here generally would be for the permanent resident spouse to naturalize, because once you naturalize, the category of petition would change. Now it's a US citizen petitioning for a spouse who's overstayed. And that's fine. If they've overstayed and the petitioning spouse is a US citizen, unlawful presence and even unauthorized employment won't prevent the immigrant spouse from adjusting status. The final situation that's going to get an adjustment of status application denied, unless you qualify for an exception, is when the immigrant entered the US without inspection and then somebody petitions for them. I was just speaking to a client the other day. It was just a consultation where the mother entered the US like 30 years ago, has a bunch of US citizen children, and now the US citizen children are over age 21 and want to petition for the mother, who's been unlawfully present in the US for like 30 years. The key fact here is that the mother entered without inspection. And if you have not been inspected or paroled, you are ineligible for adjustment of status through a family-based petition. There is a notable exception referred to as Section 245I of the Immigration and Nationality Act. Without getting into like the weeds on this one exception, it requires that the immigrant who's now trying to apply for adjustment of status be the beneficiary of an employment-based petition, Form I-140, or family-based petition, Form I-130, that was filed for them before April 30th, 2001, and that petition must have been approvable when filed. It doesn't mean it needs to have been approved, but it must have been approvable. So it can't be like a spouse petition that was filed for you before 2001 where the marriage was totally fake and there was no evidence and you ended up getting divorced the moment the application got denied. That would not meet the requirement of approvable when filed, which is actually like a somewhat complicated legal analysis. But if you were in the US before 2001 and an employer or a family member filed a petition for you and it was like approvable when they filed it, even if it didn't get approved, you might be eligible for an exception under 245I, where now you can apply for adjustment of status without proving that you were inspected. The other main exceptions are if you've been paroled at any point, or if you have a U visa application that ended up getting approved and then you got an I-94 after it got approved, that would also qualify as like an inspection for adjustment of status purposes. Parole is kind of like a legal fiction where the government can take someone who's in the US without inspection and just fix their illegal entry. We see this happening with family members of people in the military. It's called military parole in place. Parole is also a procedure by which you can be admitted to the United States. So you see this for a bunch of different countries, like Haitians were paroled into the US during the Biden administration. That does qualify. That would make those Haitians eligible for adjustment of status through, for example, a US citizen spouse. They need to have been inspected or paroled. If you entered the US without inspection and you were never subsequently paroled or eligible under an exception under section 245I, you're not going to be eligible for a family-based adjustment of status in the US. You might need to leave the US and go to a consulate interview abroad, but most of the time you'll need an unlawful presence waiver before you can do that, and you may or may not qualify for that waiver. If this is you, speak to an attorney before you start the process, because I've seen people waste like 10 years filing I-130 petitions and thinking that their status will get fixed down the road when they never actually had a viable pathway to begin with. All right, guys, I'm gonna end by actually repeating, the stakes right now are really high. Like if your application gets denied, there's a really good chance you're gonna end up having to defend yourself in removal proceedings. So if you were trying to save some money by not speaking to an attorney initially, you might end up paying 10 times that amount down the road if you're placed into removal proceedings. I'm not saying you must hire an attorney to file your paperwork with you, but at least speak to an attorney before you begin the process to make sure that your theory is sound, that there aren't any major legal problems with your strategy. And I will also note, if you file just an I-130 for someone, once that I-130 gets adjudicated, once a final decision is made on it, even if it gets approved, if the beneficiary, if the immigrant who's receiving that immigration benefit is unlawfully present in the US and subject to deportation, you should also expect a notice to appear, even if an adjustment of status application hasn't been filed and hasn't been denied. So just keep that in mind. The risks are high. It's important to seek competent legal advice before you take any actions that could jeopardize your presence in the United States. If you are going through this situation, or you want to speak to an attorney directly about your family-based immigration issue or your immigration court problems, you can speak with me directly. My name is Puyan Darian. I'm an immigration attorney with an office in New York, and I handle these cases nationwide. So if you have any questions, even if you just want to get some guidance or run some ideas by me, or you want an attorney to handle your case from start to finish, or you're not sure what you want, you could always schedule a consultation directly with me. My information is in the video description below, and I'll see you guys next time for another video.